Welcome, everyone. Hi, I'm Chris Dobbin, and welcome to Amplify Your Brand, the series that ultimately looks at building powerful brands in today's digital landscapes. Along with my friend and fellow branding expert, Simoa there, you can see on the screen, we're here to share expertise and help you build your brand and take it to the next level. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, or a marketing professional, or a business coach, this live stream is packed with practical insights and strategies that we hope to help you amplify your brand and stand out in this digital landscape that we talked about. So get ready, take some notes. We want you to put what we talk about today into action because by the end of this, we want to give you a clear roadmap on how to build your brand and make sure it truly resonates with your target audience. So thanks for joining us today, and let's find another way to amplify your brand. Over to you, Sim. How are you today?
Good morning, everyone. I'm excellent. Thank you, Chris. And welcome everybody who's joining this or watching this as a replay. Simon here, aka Mr. Logo, aka Branding Buff. Let's get the ball rolling, Chris.
Yeah, so today we are talking about the brand positioning, and we've kind of put a bit of a swing on this by saying that we're looking at ways we tailor your strategies to market segments, because brand positioning is a tricky one in the sense that we all should have, one audience we're targeting for. But once you start getting into brand positioning, you realize that you need to alternate your messaging just a little bit for when different messages require. And I think we touched on this last week. We talked about I'll bring it back to us actually on the screen so people can see us. We were talking about this last week about the mother of one child and the teenage boy looking for girls, right? Now, that mother might be the mother of that child that's looking for the girl or the boy, and they both have similar crossovers in messaging for a certain product. So there is times when those audiences need to be spoken to, but you would run maybe two different ads, or you would put your marketing campaigns into two different areas online or magazines or TV shows or whatever the case be to find that audience for your brand. So we're going to go deeper into that today, unless you've got more to add to that one, my friend.
That's it. The example we brought up last week was of a national intercom brand bringing internet provider services to the public. And again, we focused on one target audience being the mother who's busy during the day, taking care of kids, taking care of the house, and the kid who's looking for cyber hangouts to meet girls online. They both need internet, and that's why different messages apply to different target audiences. But nevertheless, it's the same provider, it's the same product, and therefore the importance of what we're about to discover today.
That's right. So we will go through a few steps, but we want to talk about the fact that also everything we talk about in these live streams is based on our P8 branding framework. And as you can see on the screen there, it covers how you find your purpose, how you develop, what problems you solve for your clients. It talks about the people and target audiences like we're touching on today, the products or services that you offer, and then the persona of your business. Clearly what we're talking about today is in number 6, which is all about positioning. And then once you know your positioning, you can get out there and promote and protect your business and your brand. So look forward to having chats with people if you want to know more about what that P8 system is and how that applies. Do you want to talk to this slide, my friend?
In the sea of apples, how do you stand out? Still being an apple. It's the metaphor for the business marketplace, my friends. We all have intrinsic properties and features, and sometimes a little bit of help and perspective to gain awareness of what those features are and how others perceive us are the key to positioning our business in that crowded marketplace. Let's face it, it's very, very loud out there. We get bombarded every day with hundreds of messages. Literally, the statistics tell us hundreds and thousands of messages come through our subconscious and conscious flooding airways. And we need to find out a space where we can be discovered, create a position in somebody's mind. Because if we look at the definition of a brand is an experience. And once you create that experience, how do you consistently being the keyword, repeat it and position it so that people know who you are and exactly what you do, so they can come to you repeatedly on an ongoing basis.
Fantastically well said. Now, I don't want you to get too far ahead of yourself. We've got a few slides to work through, and we can't just do it all. Otherwise, let's wrap it up. Well done, Sim. We are now doing 30-second live streams.
I'll try.
So the first off the bat is understanding your target audience. So obviously know who your ideal customers are. So to position your brand effectively, you need to know what are their needs, their desires, pain points. By understanding your target audience, you can tailor your brand's message to resonate with them. Now, we've been talking about this a little bit in the couple of examples we've touched on already, but it is that simple. Like, none of us want to be like, actually, I even had an experience this morning with an app I was playing with actually said, you're on iOS, whatever it was, on your Apple. We can't give you the customized experience you want. Would you like, or can you allow us to let you use that? And I was like, oh, do I not? And as soon as I clicked the button and allowed it, the experience was what I was hoping it was going to be. It was custom to my local area. It started to turn into Australian language, or local businesses in my area popped up and things like that. It was a much better experience. I know the privacy stuff, and people may have or going to be making comments below on what the process I just went through. But anyway, the simple fact is I've got now a better experience. They're making a bucket load of money off my data, but
and selling it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm having a better experience, and that's pretty much what I'm looking for when I'm using this app. Otherwise, the app was pretty much useless to me. So by doing that, having that better experience, I'm now going to use that app on a repeated sort of situation. So I'm going to use it again and again because of that feeling, that experience, and I'm getting a result that I want. Okay, so these are things to take on board when you're developing, whether it be an app, a t-shirt, a can of soup, whatever it is, delivering a service. You need to make sure that what you say is something that your clients or your customers, your target audience, want to hear. Many people make the mistake of saying, I want this, as in the brand, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And it's like, me. You forget the purpose of the brand is not about you.
Yeah, exactly. And Chris is now talking on the last few part of the segment. He's talking about business owners. They confuse themselves with their target audience, and they bypass on the assumption that the audience is going to want what the business owners want themselves, without going through the process of validating those assumptions. Now, Chris just talked about the online part of a brand, a version where a brand has the online presence and it gives the user, Chris, the option of having a better experience. I'm going to revert to physical and offline and go back to the previous weeks where we repeatedly hammered the importance of knowing your target audience. This into segmentation is the best, is one of the best pillars you can give yourself and give your brand in terms of giving yourself the best chance to know who you're talking to. Again, the mother is using an internet provider service. The kid is using an internet service provider, but they speak different languages. They have very different features. You need to understand who your brand is going to call out for. So with that, I held it right there, Chris.
Because I know I just went ahead just maybe a step or two ahead myself. So what makes your brand different is obviously defining your unique value proposition. Now, we did a whole live stream on this last week, so we won't go too far into this today because otherwise we actually went for a little while last week on this one. But
we went overboard last week.
Our longest episode to date. So look, what do you value that offers that sets you apart from your competitors? What makes you unique? Make it clear and compelling, and obviously communicate the benefits and advantages of choosing you over your competitors, which is essentially why we're saying if you can understand that, then how you position yourself can become very clear and you can stand out from the competitor. You can be that orange apple, as we showed in the earlier slide. Do you want to go in that? As I said, we spent a lot of time on this last week, so we probably won't go too far.
Yeah. The summary is the distinction between the special and different. And I urge you watching this to understand that it doesn't necessarily mean better. It's good if it means better, but different doesn't not equate to better, and it does not need to equate to better. It's just like an athlete needs footwear and needs something for the arms, and arms are not better than feet, or feet are not better than hands. It's just different, and for specific parts of the needs that your audience goes through, you will have to respond to that. It's not good, or it's not better, it's just different. So know your difference in the marketplace, because there's a lot of competition for what you offer, but there's something different about what you do, and once you find that difference, you will have your position.
Yeah. One of the best examples that we've had in the last 2 decades on this was when Apple AirPods launched, or Apple headphones launched, and they were white.
Yes. Yeah.
And everyone else was using black or color, and they were just white, which if you're using in your ears, you can see them. But that is one great example of everyone went black, they went white, and clearly stand it out, point of difference. So we will talk about
Apple is the epitome.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that
Apple
as well.
being the epitome. Yes.
Yeah. So in saying that, though, we were just touching on there, number 3 in this step is obviously looking at ways to research your competition. So if you know what your competition are doing, this helps you identify the gaps or opportunities that you can leverage on to differentiate your brand. And by understanding your competition, you can find ways to position yourself uniquely. I will give an example of this. This week, I was meeting with a couple of real estate agents on what they do. Now, everyone knows that agents in the market have a general thing that they do, or a way they go about it, or what they sell is kind of it's a I guess, what do you call it, a commodity. It's a house, right? So people know how you stand out. And that's what I was working on with this client, was based on a few criterias that, again, I won't go into a huge list of those today, but we were trying to find ways. And the one way we did that was by looking at their competitors, one, in their location, and 2, where they were looking to put their new office as well. So this allowed us to identify opportunity, because when we looked at their competitors, there was some things that they weren't doing. And we were able to say, well, let's go do those things, because they make you stand out. Because everyone knows you're a real estate agent that sells property. What they don't know is you do it XYZ this way, or you've got this person on your team that can do XYZ, right? That was their point of difference in that case.
Yeah.
So,
and many other points of difference could be coupled, attached, or replaced, depending on the real estate agent we're talking about. Specifically, and staying on that same exact industry, I found it hard with our last rental to find places that were pet friendly. If you found yourself an agent that specializes in listing properties that are pet friendly, would that not be a point of difference? No more, no less, no better, no worse, but just different, and would make this agent special and very endeared to all pet owners that are looking for properties in your local area, in your local neighborhood. So again, going back to the point we were just discussing and bringing it home into this, finding something that is different, not necessarily better, and understand what the competition does. If nobody else in the local agencies offers pet-friendly searches, then you have a step further than they do, specifically for that target audience of pet owners.
Yeah. And we did talk about this last week, that researching your competitors, and if everyone else is wearing, as I said, black, or they're accountants and they talk a certain way, standing out by going a different way is how you're going to win business. Because different, as we keep trying to identify in this process, is not about being better, but something in our brain, our reptile brain, basically says different is good, different is something I need to try. It feels new. It feels something that's different. So I've done that kind of way the whole time. Ooh, what's that new shiny object? A lot of us have that in us and want to go there and take on that new opportunity, whatever that opportunity is. So something to keep in mind when you're trying to find your brand position. Now, this one is something that's getting a little bit easy with AI coming into our world these days. So crafting a brand message. We we really love working with our clients on finding out. Many times our clients actually have the message in their brain already. They just haven't got it out into the public domain. But before we move to that, I will talk about what's on the screen there, which is about crafting your business. So look for a concise, authentic, and consistent way that you can do this. So this means across all your marketing channels, it should be clearly communicated who you are, what you do, and why you target the audience you chose or you're choosing to go with, right? So we've shown a couple of examples today. If we go back to the original one about the mum and the younger male, and we were talking about the internet service provider company, like clearly the young guy is potentially, again, not all kids are like this, but many of the millennials and young kids I know today, gaming is just their life. It's what they do in their spare time. And if they don't have a high-speed internet connection, then you're really not going to be the service provider that they're going to go with, right? So if you can clearly demonstrate a reason why your gaming speeds on your internet provider is better than others, that guy, that kid is probably going to go with you. With the mother, if we can show how it's going to make her life easier because it's giving her more time to relax and it's simple to connect, that, you know, she's able to find the solution to her baby crying, you know, by having a fast internet connection that just makes it simple to just quickly find that YouTube channel and watch it and sit back and relax. Like, these are things that just are resonating with these different audiences. And these are just us coming off the bat. There's more to it than that, but these are just simple examples of how that works for understanding, one, your target audience, and then how to communicate with them.
Yes.
Do you have any further examples, my friend?
I'm gonna keep chiming with what you said, and keep on the straight and narrow with the internet service provider. Let's say this internet service provider wants to capture moms and kids, to stay with the same examples. They are an internet service provider. One brand message they could potentially keep propagating in their message and their touch points to different personas within their audience is that, one, they understand the language spoken by each. And if they do that, they can offer to the mother a number of YouTube options for channels that provide specific labels that are safe for babies, hacks to create home solutions for rashes, that sort of thing. And for the kid, provide discount codes for twitch.tv, which is a gaming channel that all gamers know, providing discounts, coupon codes for Comic-Cons, to any sort of event that gathers these geeks in mass and allows them a direct entrance to it. So we're still crafting a message that is based on a fast, reliable internet service, but segments into different parts of their audience, aka personas.
Yeah, which sounds obvious to some people that are watching this today, but it is just commonly just forgotten about and overlooked in so many advertising or marketing campaigns that I've seen recently, where they just haven't understood this clearly. And this is another thing that I find that a lot of people fall over on, is consistency is the key. So brand positioning is not a one-time thing. It's something that you do ongoing. It's consistent. It needs to deliver on your brand promise through the product, the service, the customer experience, and all your marketing efforts. This builds the trust and reinforces your brand position in the minds of your customers. I was doing a presentation earlier this week, and I said to everybody, on Mondays they do you should post about conveyancing. On Tuesday, you should post about your wills. On Thursday, it's mindset. And I said, this is how people buy. They just wake up in the morning, and those days are the days they buy those products. And then I said to everyone, I'm really joking. It's actually all about the fact that nobody knows when someone wants to buy. But if you're consistently in front of them with your message, then Wednesday might be Web Wills Day, or Tuesday might be Conveyancing Day, but it's there consistently in front of them. So they're going to eventually find it and take that opportunity when it presents itself. So consistently putting things out there. And that's one way of consistency. The other way of consistency is look, feel, tone, the voice, and all these other aspects of your brand need to come together. So there's two ways to look at consistency when we talk about this.
Very good, very good. You threw me off there for a second, and you wrapped it up, or you brought it home with the contradiction, exactly what not to do. So, consistency wins. I actually posted about this a couple of weeks ago with a nice uh, um, bicep shot of myself, because consistency wins. I basically hammered home the the fitness side of what consistency means. It allows you to discover what works for you. If you're not doing something consistently, you can't measure it. The problem with not measuring it is that you won't be able to change it, because the variables are constantly out of whack. So you won't know how to fine tune whatever needs the adaptation. In the case of fitness, we all respond differently to different combinations of macronutrients. We all respond differently to volume of training, intensity of training, regularity. But what is consistent is that you track yourself for long enough that you know what is not working. And even if it is by exclusion of parts, whether that be posting on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, holding on Thursdays, or having a specific calendar for each day of the week where you talk about different points, that you will have to test. And you can get some help with agency, with services like the ones we provide. The program that we structured gives you a nice way of following your consistency and finding out what results are working best for you. But at the end of the day, consistency wins over the best intentions. And I've had this happen to myself. I've done things with the best intention possible, but the consistency was not there, and therefore the results also were not visible.
Yeah. So I guess like they're the 5 tips that we're going to highlight here. And what we've been doing over the last few weeks is we've raised examples, but then we want to look at what are good brands doing. So we've given you examples of how you could go about it, or if you're in particular industries, what you should be doing. But we wanted just to highlight a few examples. And we've done this consistently with Apple, but they are one of the best companies in the world. That's why they're valued at $1 trillion, because they do what they do very, very well. Now, when they come to positioning, they always put themselves in a position where they are trying to show that they're sleek, innovative, and user-friendly with their products, right? Now, that's the beginning of the positioning. Then they add to that the way they communicate that with their Think Different campaign. And they use this to emphasize the uniqueness and their ability to challenge the certain status quo. And obviously from this, it's made them synonymous with cutting edge design, neat and exceptional user experience. Now, they're not perfect. Not everything they do works, but because they're consistently putting this message out there, we start to just subconsciously believe this about Apple. And again, not everyone's cup of tea, but you know, all of us, if we had a couple of $1 trillion sitting in our back pocket, we'd probably be okay with that. So, you know, it's clearly working what they're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the other example is, again, not everyone drinks Coca-Cola, but it has positioned itself as the ultimate refreshing and happiness, you know, inducing beverage. So I don't think I've ever seen a Coca-Cola ad of any sort where people aren't smiling, having a good time, and loving what they're doing, right? Everyone's at the beach or swimming around in the beach ball. That's just how it is. So through their open happiness campaign, they've created a strong emotional connection that consumers, you know, associate with the brand, and they have moments of joys and togetherness. So we've seen all that. And then really what we want to take away from this is that positioning centers around the idea of spreading happiness and creating a shared experience is something you can only do with Coke, you know? So if you want to have that, get some Coke into you. That's what it's doing.
That just sounded so different.
I know, this is not a paid advertisement, by the way. So Volvo have obviously just come out of a catastrophe with their powered cars, with the batteries and the things that they were doing around that. But something that they do above that problem they had was, and it's something that all of us are grown up with, is that we know that when you see a Volvo, it's something that has prioritized itself as its safety above all else. For some reason, when you think of Volvo, you know that it's a safe car. So their messaging focuses on commitments to protecting people and preventing accidents. And they do that in a number of different ways. But this has positioned them to be a trusted choice for consumers who value safety and reliability in their vehicles. So they're not trying to get anyone that's looking out for a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or any kind of sports car. That's not their target audience. They're looking for people who want to drive an average car that is going to be safe, and when they get hit because they don't trust anyone else out on the road, they feel like that car is going to protect them. So that's how they've gone about attracting their audience. Anything to say on that one? Yeah.
No, you hammered it home.
Cool.
We're just gonna have to take off the safe for kids in the YouTube channel so the Coke part doesn't get flagged. That was funny. No,
okay. Yeah. All right. So anyway, Nike. So again, Nike has positioned itself as a brand that empowers athletes, celebrities in the spirit of determination and achievement. We did go a fair bit into this last week. And they just do a campaign, encourages individuals to push the limits and pursue their goals. So again, they've looked at ways to say, hey, you're someone who's trying to get fit, or you want to achieve excellence in your life, then, or you just want to get off your bum and start doing something, then just do it makes you want to go that way. So they emphasize this by showing inspirational ideas of people achieving greatness so that you can go, I think I can do that, or I want to be just a little bit of that. And if I wear those shoes, maybe I can achieve that, which I think is a fantastic. It's not lying. It's just positioning themselves as these shoes are a tool that those people have used to get where they're going. So if you use these tools, you might be able to get there yourself. So it's just a great way of bringing it together. And finally, one of the last brands we want to touch on today is Tesla. So it's positioned itself as a brand on the forefront of sustainable transportation and advanced technology. They've done this through their electric cars as high performance, environmentally friendly, and definitely in the way they've gone about it is showing an alternative way to have a car. It's been fantastic with what they've been doing. And the way they've done that is they've done it with a combination of luxury, innovation, and are committed to a greener future. So anybody who resonates with those things is going to be attracted to the idea of owning a Tesla. So hopefully those 4 examples of brands that all of us maybe don't use every day, but we are aware of them. They're in our lives because of obviously the amount of money these guys spend on positioning themselves in the market. But they clearly are something that if your brand is, whether it's a small business, a local business, or it's growing business, these are things you can use to help leverage and make your business go to the next level.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, just to touch on everything, what is positioning all about? Clearly, it's about understanding your audience. It's defining unique values, and obviously crafting a compelling message. Now, I guess you dropped off there. Consistency is the key to that as well. So, but 3 great takeaways for this. Is there anything else you want to sort of bring together for today's session around brand positioning, or do you think we've covered it off?
We are in a pretty good space. We've covered everything that we tied back to last week's for all the separate for all the separate segments that we based today's session on. Just make sure to go back and watch the previous sessions that we recorded on unique value proposition, on target audience and segmenting those target audiences, because those are really, really interesting. As you're following this along, you will notice that we keep bringing them up because they are that much relevant to building your brand in a strategic and well-segmented way. So be sure to check what the underlying definitions of what these are, how to achieve them, so that you can take the best value out of today's session as well. And I think with that, we're about to wrap today's session. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. And Chris.
Yep. Yep. So I'm just going to tie it off with, just remember, the brand positioning is not about catchy slogans or fancy logos. It's about creating a meaningful and lasting connection with your audience. When it's done right, it helps your brand build loyalty, new customers, and differentiate yourself from your competition. So take the time to understand your audience, define unique values, craft a compelling brand message, and stay consistent. You'll find this carves out a special place in the hearts and minds of your customers. And ultimately, what we're all about is helping you amplify your brand. And we look forward to seeing you next week when we do this. Till then, take care, guys.
See you later. Bye.